Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. So we are from Group 8. Today we're going to discuss about techniques of teaching in the textbook and the tasks of mapping content and group prioritizing. But first, let us introduce ourselves. Okay, here's are the members. So the first members is Fahmi Ramadhani. The second one is Muhammad Rendy, Lazuardi, Firdaus. The third one is Putri Rohimah. And last one is myself, Winona, Alvina, Mayla. Okay, let's get going. So today, there are 4 topics that we're going to discuss about. The first one is about the definition of mapping contents. The second one is about group prioritizing. The third one is about the example of mapping contents. And the last one is about the example of group prioritizing. Let's get going to the first material about the definition of mapping contents. Okay, so mapping content is the process of identifying, organizing, and planning learning content to achieve desired learning objectives. In the content of learning techniques, mapping contents helps the teachers or instructional designer to create structural materials. Let's highlight the 3 points that it is about identifying, organizing, and planning learning content to achieve learning objectives. Okay. While in the content of using textbook, content mapping refers to the process of matching learning materials in the textbook with specific curriculums or learning standards. It involves identifying and determining how the materials in the textbook can be integrated with the established learning objectives. Okay, we're going to the next material that will be presented by my friend.
Right, these are an example of content mapping. First one is mapping concept, or in Indonesian we know as meta concept. Mapping concept is a visual aid used to organize and present information systematically. Concept maps can help us to understand the relationship between concepts related to a topic or field of knowledge. So, mapping concept can also improve our critical, creative, and analytical thinking skills. Next, right? Okay. Next one is mind mapping. Mind mapping is a method for organizing information by forming a hierarchy and showing the relationship between elements of a concept. This technique used to develop new ideas or understanding existing information better. Mind mapping can help you understand concepts by breaking them down into simpler information. Next slide. Last is spider diagram. The spider diagram is a visual brainstorming diagram to help you organize concepts and ideas logically so that you can see a complete view of all your input. The spider diagram features put the main concept position in the middle of the diagram with lines extending radially to link related ideas and subtopics. Spider diagrams help you to make connections between ideas, explore possible solution, and visualize concepts that might otherwise be difficult to understand. They allow you to see the bigger picture of a topic or a problem and more specific details. The material will be delivered by
Okay, let's take it. Moving on to the next part, which is group prioritizing. Next slide, please. Before we know about group prioritizing, we must first get to know what is prioritizing contents. Now, According to Mong in 2003, he defined prioritizing contents from a perspective of teachers, which involves first one, reviewing the content to be covered in class during the marking period. The second one is applying explicit criteria to rate or rank the content of importance. And the third one is identifying assignments related to now prioritized contents. And the last one is determining the grading criteria for the prioritized assignment. That is basically four steps of prioritizing contents according to Meng in 2003. Now, back to the question, what is group prioritizing? It's basically the same. However, it contains a word group in it, so it becomes a collective process. It becomes an action that can be concluded and that can be conducted by many of people. So group prioritizing from the perspective from the context of students in a textbook learning is a learning context. Is a learning technique. It becomes a learning technique. So group prioritizing is a collective learning technique that involves group of students in prioritizing information contained in a text or textbooks. So group prioritizing is basically still contains the four steps that defined by Mang, which is the first one is they must review the content that they will be rating. The second was they must rate or rank the content. Is it important? Is it not? And then the third one, they must identify the whole through it. And then the last one, they must determine which one is important from the most to the least. That basically group prioritizing. So group prioritizing can be also conducted or be done through three examples of activity. The first one is group discussion, which is the main things of collaborative action. The second one is through posting, that where the students they get to know the content that they'll be rating, and then they concluded through the suara terbanyak, that is basically voting is. And the last one is writing a priority list. They get to know the pros and cons of each content, and then they get it through the prioritizing list. Now, the further explanation of this action will be explained by my friend. Moving on to the next part.
All right, this one of the example of the group prioritizing. This one is group discussion. In education, group discussion is a way of teaching and learning in which students engage in structured talks to explore topics, solve issues, and exchange viewpoints. It promotes active engagement, critical thinking, and collaborative learning. Next slide, please. The second one is writing a priority list. Creating a priority list is in an educational setting entails categorizing activities, projects, or student groups depending on their relevance and urgency. And based on these two examples, we conclude that the group prioritizing is focusing on a topic that that have to be discussed by grouping. And next slide, please. Okay, the last one is voting. In education, voting can be used to prioritize tasks, make decisions on school policies, select students, representatives, and or choose classroom activities. And the last examples means that voting have to know the agreement of the decisions by knowing the opinion from the students and other students by vote to topics or to issues. And maybe that's enough from me. I give to the moderator.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to the next session of question and answer. So if you have any question, you may write down or type it on the comment section. Okay, that's all for our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.